What's up everyone, I'm Becca and welcome to my channel. The first tournament of the Regulation H format is this weekend and I'm sure a lot of you have already locked in your teams. If not, maybe this video will help steer you in that direction. Today I'm going to be going over some websites and tournament results that I like to use when prepping for major events. If you like this type of video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more VGC content. Now, let's get into it. There are two main websites that I like to use for research purposes when I'm prepping for a major event, one of them being victoryroadvgc.com. This past weekend they hosted their September challenge and they had over 300 players participate. You're able to see the teams, you got a list of their moves, the items that they used. It doesn't give you the EV spreads unfortunately, but some of these players, they will post like the actual pace of their teams over on Twitter. I also really like that they have this usage stats area, so I'm not surprised that Rillaboom was at number 1. It's just such a good support Pokemon. You can kind of slap Rillaboom on any team, as long as you're not size spam, you don't want that competing terrain. Some people do, I think it's just a little bit too difficult to manage. Goldango being number 2 is also not surprising. Choice Specs Goldango just deals a ton of damage. King Gambit, really good counter into size spam stuff, and then Incineroar, just intimidate, recycling, parting shots, taunts, you name it, he's got it. Archaludon being the 5th most used Pokemon in this tournament is also not surprising. It's got a really good ability and stamina. Every time that it's hit, it gets a defense boost, and that's just boosting the power of its body press. Another helpful website is play.limitlesstcg. Here, people can host online tournaments. Right now, I'm looking at the Pokebros Invitational. You have to get invited to play into this tournament, and we can see the tournament results. You got the list as well. Pokemon with their items, Terras, abilities, all that stuff is here. We have some data to work with. Now let's take a look at some of these top performing teams. First, we'll go over the Rain Core that you will likely see all of Regulation H, that being Archaludon, Pelipper, Basculegion, and Amoonguss. Pelipper is here to set the rain for you. You have Tailwind if speed control is necessary for the matchup. Archaludon benefits heavily from being in the rain. Its signature move, Electroshock, gets powered up in one turn, and you can already start stacking up that special attack boost. With its ability Stamina, you are boosting your defense one stage each time you are hit in battle, so your body presses are doing work. Basculegion loves the rain. With its ability Swift Swim, its speed is going to be doubled, so you don't necessarily have to go the Tailwind option to be outspeeding your opponent. Basculegion is going to be dealing a lot of damage while choice banded. They also run life orb sets. I personally prefer a life orb set. I don't like being locked into last respects and then my opponent throws in a normal type Pokemon as their last mon. Amoonguss is really good on rain teams. It's good for redirection and recovery. Clear Smog is a good tech into those Dozo matchups. Amoonguss helps to slow down your opponent with the threat of Spore. Some other Pokemon you might see on this Rain Core would be like Salamence and Incineroar with their Intimidates, trying to lessen the damage that their opponents are doing overall. Next, we have Hyper Offense with Dondozo and Tatsugiri. Staples on this team will be Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Gloomora, and Talonflame. Talonflame is a reliable partner in a Tailwind setter. It's faster than all the Prankster Pokemon because of its ability Gale Wings. It's important to note that your flying type moves are only priority while Talonflame is at full HP. Priority Brave Birds go crazy. Will-O-Wisp and Taunt are great support moves on this Pokemon, giving you control of the pace of the game. Gloomora adds a ton of damage as well as passive synergy with Dondozo. If it's hit with a physical attack, it sets off its toxic spikes, so you're pairing a ton of immediate damage with some passive poison damage. And that is especially toxic when you're trying to KO a Dondozo with all its defense buffs and leftovers. Good luck with that one. Other likely teammates you will see are Choice Specs Goldango for synergy with that Tailwind offense. A lot of times you can get away with leading Goldango and Talonflame just for that immediate offensive pressure and KOing a key Pokemon that first turn with a Terra Steel Make It Rain, or you don't even have to Terra, the Choice Specs is just adding that much damage. Dragonite and Palmon are also a good pair to add on this team. Banded Dragonite functions well as a priority denier with its Terra Normal E-Speed. You can snipe Talonflame or Whimsicott before they can even set up Tailwind, for example, if they don't Terra Ghost. Ice Spinner helps against that not so favorable matchup in Side Spam, getting rid of the terrain. Palmont provides strong offensive coverage in fighting electric. You also have Fake Out support. With Revival Blessing, you get a second chance at going Commander mode, or you can bring back Goldango, make it rain once more. Volcarona, Rillaboom, Clefable, and King Gambit core. Rillaboom is arguably the best supporting Pokemon in Regulation H. We get passive healing in the grassy terrain and you deal immense damage with its grass type moves being boosted. Fake Out Pressure is great, U-turn to help pivot, recycle the terrain, and Fake Outs. Overall, Rillaboom is just really good for helping its allies set up. Clefable is arguably the second best support Pokemon in Regulation H. In a setup heavy meta, its ability Unaware allows it to ignore its opponent's defense buffs. You might want to use Skill Swap on your Volcarona so that when it's attacking Dondozo, it can ignore its defense stat boosts. King Gambit is one of the best attackers in the format. It's likely going to be Terra Dark wearing black glasses, and it's a natural check into Goldango. Its immunity to psychic type moves is a natural deterrent to Side Spam teams, especially when paired with Rillaboom. Some likely allies for this team would be Primarina, Dragapult, Water Tauros, and Hydration. Porygon 2 and Ursaluna. It might look like Trick Room is the goal of this team, but it's not always necessary, as the Pokemon on this team have some really good natural bulk. The goal of this team is to live long enough to KO all of your opponent's Pokemon. Porygon 2 is virtually impossible to KO with the support of Incineroar and Amoonguss, which is why the most common leads from this team will be Porygon 2 and Amoonguss or Porygon 2 and Incineroar. Also, with Porygon 2, you're likely to see either Terra Flying or Terra Poison. With Recover on Porygon 2 and Pollen Puff on Amoonguss, don't think you'll be just fine getting through one round of Trick Room. If Ursaluna is set up in Trick Room and has good support from Amoonguss or Incineroar, it has some of the highest damage output in the entire game. Goldango has really good synergy with Porygon 2, Incineroar, and Ursaluna, who all have a fighting type weakness. He also has great synergy with Amoonguss, as Amoonguss is the only Pokemon that can target Goldango with its healing move Pollen Puff. With Trick Room setup, you can get a ton of heals on Goldango and set up a couple of nasty plots. And last, we have my personal favorite, Side Spam. Staples on this team are going to be Hisuian Lilligant, Torkoal, Indeedee, and an Expanding Force user. Likely additions being Ursaluna and Gallade. This archetype can operate in the slowest and fastest speed tiers. During team preview, if you don't have the correct lead into this team, the game can be determined in the first 2 turns. Leading Torkoal and Lilligant, the threat of after you eruption is pure chaos if you don't have a competing weather or a follow me user. Sleep Powder can also be highly disruptive, if it connects. Indeedee and Gallade or Indeedee and Armarouge give you priority denial as well as support for setting up Trick Room in Wide Guard. Usually no matter what, all roads lead to Torkoal in the endgame being able to spam Eruption or having Hatterene or Armarouge spam Expanding Force to close out the game. It's super toxic if you can have both of them out at the same time, both clicking Expanding Force. And there's a pretty good preview of what you can expect at major events for Regulation H. I hope that you found this video helpful. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you all in my next one.